The PFL is having a lot of problems lately, and not only are the fighters complaining and more fighters are coming out against the PFL, also their events are not really selling tickets and everything, and it seems like maybe the PFL will come to an end. Who knows? More about this in this video. Hello and welcome to Bloodsport MMA.
Assalamu alaikum everyone.
What used to be World Series of Fighting became PFL 6 or 7 years ago, something like this. And the PFL was the first major organization to really start with a tournament thing, right? Where they have fighters in weight classes competing like 4 or 5 times a year in a tournament, and the winner of the tournament gets 1 million. And at the beginning that was a big thing, like, oh my God, $1 million for the winner. That's crazy in MMA and whatnot. And they slowly began to grow, more or less, and investors started to come in, big investors, especially in the last couple, like 2-3 years. And because of those big investors, they then decided, more or less a year ago, to buy Bellator. Bellator was the other, like, there's the UFC, which is on a whole other level. There's Bellator, PFL, and one championship that are all kind of competing for the #2 ranking, right? And they all have they're all very different in a way, so it's hard to really compare them, but still. The PFL then decided to buy Bellator, which at the beginning was a cool move in a way, but I from the beginning thought to myself like, okay, what are they gonna do with this now? Like,
when do we do this?
What are they gonna do with all those fighters from Bellator? Are they gonna have events every weekend now, like UFC? That would have been cool. That would have been something that I would have stood behind and was like, hey, that would be great for the fighters. They could all catch a lot of paydays. The PFL could grow a lot as well by having so many new fighters and stars from Bellator as well, and make them all fight each other and just get rid of that tournament thing. But they decided to go such a weird way where they still have the tournament, but they also have pay-per-views. But I feel like they have like 3 or 4 pay-per-views a year or something like that. I don't think they had much more than that, at least as far as I remember. And you can either be on the pay-per-view way or you can be in the tournament. Either one of those. But like, if you compete in the tournament, okay, then you have 3-4 fights a year that you win. And then the 5th fight or the 4th fight, I don't know how many days until the final, you lose and then you don't get your million, but you fought your ass off. You fought like 4 or 5 fights a year and you were the star, and then you get beat by a random guy from Dagestan, and then you just don't matter anymore. You know what I mean? So the tournament style overall is just stupid in my opinion, and it will never sell. It will never get any MMA fan to be like, oh my God, they're competing for $1 million? Oh my goodness, I need to tune in. I've never heard any MMA fan that was like, hey, I need to tune into this. Hey, come over to my place Saturday night, let's watch, or Friday night, let's watch PFL finals for the tournament to watch them win 1 million. I'm an MMA freak. I don't know 3/4 of the guys that compete there in the finals. I know Dakota Dicheva competed there, of course. And of course I know Brandon Loughnane and those guys, but most of them I have never heard before, and I can't even remember them right now. Of course, who also was there in the final? He got knocked out by Joaquin Buckley. He won the PFL last year. Impa Kasanganay, of course, Impa Kasanganay. But other than those 3, I don't even remember any names of those guys that competed there. Like, they don't really do a good job at all of promoting fighters. I don't even know as of right now, from the top of my head, who is the champion in which weight class, like in every weight class of the PFL. I have no idea. And yeah, they just do such a horrible job of building fighters. The problems that the people have that fight in the pay-per-view system is that they don't get any fights. You see so many fighters coming out from the PFL right now, and I say PFL on purpose because Bellator doesn't exist anymore. Of course, there's still events held under the name Bellator, but it belongs to the PFL. So the PFL is the father figure in this, you know what I mean? Just because the event is called Bellator doesn't mean that they are under contract with Bellator. They're all under contract with PFL. PFL is a whole own thing, you know what I mean, that Bellator is a part of. So you see a lot of fighters coming out. I mean, famously Gegard Mousasi at the beginning came out that, I mean, he's a star, wasn't he? Like long-reigning champion as well in Bellator and whatnot. And yeah, the PFL just decided, Bellator gave him a new contract right before they got sold to the PFL, and the PFL just decided, now you're not really worth that money that the Bellator was paying you. We're just gonna ignore you. Instead of even like just saying, hey, we can't afford you, I'm sorry, you have to go. They do it with all the fighters. They just don't talk to them. They just don't offer them fights. They just don't say anything. They're just, cold shoulder, which is so horrible. Especially a guy like Gegard Mousasi, who's not the youngest anymore, who wants to get some fights in to at least some few more paydays before he ends his career, and he just sits on the sidelines thinking like, what the hell is going on? Because he can't just go to another promotion if he's still under contract with you in a way, you know what I mean? But you're not giving him any fights. Yeah, I think they had to take all the contracts from Bellator over to them, but they just stopped. They just didn't offer any fights to the people that they felt like were too expensive, which is such a piece of shit move, in my opinion. And Gegard Mousasi then, after a long back and forth and going on aerial show and really making this public, the PFL then finally were so gracious and released him from his contract, right? Horrible. You have people like Larissa Pacheco. Yeah, she fought Chris Cyborg now, I know. But before that, to even get that Chris Cyborg fight, she had to go on Twitter every day and be like having crazy publicity about the fact that she's not getting offered anything. It's not that like they're saying, hey, yeah, you're fighting this person then and then. They just don't talk to you. You just sit there and you don't know when your next fight's gonna be. If you ask the PFL, kind of your company, they just don't respond to you. They just give you the cold shoulder. And you just sit there and you have no idea when you're gonna fight again. Know how horrible that is? You have to plan. You have to plan your life and plan your finances and everything. That should be illegal, in my opinion, to have an MMA promotion with contracts like this and just don't offer people fight. People like Corey Anderson came out, Patricio Pitbull, Batchy Mix. Those are huge names. Those are champions that just don't get offered any fights and that don't get any feedback from the PFL. This is horrible. No real MMA fan should be a supporter of the PFL. What they do is absolutely disgusting. Disgusting.
I think it's disgusting. I think he's disgusting.
Their system doesn't work. The whole championship thing with the tournaments, it doesn't work. No one watches it. No one watches it. And they don't have any stars, even stars that they could have. Like guys like Johnny Eblen from Bellator that could be stars, they kind of make them disappear from the radar. They put people down instead of leveling them up by promoting them. They're literally lowering their stock. Johnny Eblen, all those guys, I've never seen them having such less publicity and no one caring about them ever since they joined the PFL. When they were in Bellator, they were at least relevant. Now they're not relevant anymore. No one's talking about them. And they just have zero understanding of the fight business. Zero. They just throw around money that doesn't make sense, that they can't afford and they can't back it up. Because let's take the Francis Ngannou event for an example. They paid Francis, 10 million for that fight or something and guaranteed every opponent of Francis 2 million? Bro, that event sold, I think, 10,000 pay-per-views in the US. They can't really sell out events. They have overpaid fighters that are so much overpaid that bring zero revenue in, zero. Francis never, ever brought anything close to those 10 millions that he gets in revenue until now. Never. And also his opponent. I mean, nice for him that he got paid, Verano Ferreira, but they didn't bring anything back in. It doesn't work, that system doesn't work. And because of those stupid financial decisions, other fighters then can't get fights and they can't put on events because there's no revenue there. It doesn't make any sense. And as soon as their investors are realizing how stupid their investment is in the PFL because their system doesn't work and they get out, yeah, then you have like 700 unemployed fighters. Nice. People that fought all their life to be in that position, to be a professional fighter, to be able to live from fighting are now stuck with contracts that they can't really get out of, and because the PFL doesn't want to release them, they just keep holding them there, and they can't get fights. And if the PFL, as I said, if the investors go down, then they will just be kind of jobless in a way. Of course, top fighters will always find an organization to fight, but still, you get the concept. It's just horrible. The PFL is just a failed organization, in my opinion. If they don't do a complete 360, they will never, ever be around anymore in 10 years. No chance, in my opinion. And I really hope that they either do a 360 and change everything, or someone else comes in and takes all their fighters and PFL just goes down. It's horrible to watch. But what is your opinion on this whole thing? Write in the comments, you guys. Do you think PFL has a great plan and system and we just have to wait until it turns out and everything works out as planned? Or do you agree that the PFL is just a horrible organization that has no idea of the fight game and just, yeah, it's a horrible promotion? Write your opinions in the comments, you guys. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, would appreciate that. Make sure to check out the Bloodsport merch, bloodshop.net. Links in the bio. Worldwide free shipping with the code FREE. Stay bloody, you guys. And until the next one, bye-bye. Bloodsport out.